Hello, my name is Tierney Pierce, and this is my project in the history of motion pictures of arts. Today I'm going to talk about the history of film and how it changed by the decades, and the techniques that were used then. And to top it all off, I'm going to talk about comedy, one of my favorite genres, and the history behind it. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you have a good day. Hello again, my name is Tierney Pierce, and my project is on the history of film. One of the first techniques of transitions that were used were the distance shot to a close-up shot. It was to capture the main focus point. This was done by mounting a cameraman on wheels and then adding tracks which physically moved the camera closer to the focus point. This was used on the movie called The Photographing of a Female Crook. In 1905, they had 5-cent movie theaters. This became a big hit. It was more affordable for families to enjoy watching movies together. This was a period of new propaganda which led to the transition into the 1920s. In the 1950s, drive-in movie theaters were top of the town. It was popular everywhere. More and more families had televisions in their home, 10.5 million to be exact. Jazz was the next big thing. Ella Fitzgerald, Lou Rawls, and Benny Goodman were some of the best jazz musicians. The French film called Menace is an example with jazz incorporated movie. Rock and roll was also a big hit during this time. Many movies introduced rock and roll into the film room. Some movies, such as Rock Around the Clock, was the first movie that was made entirely with rock and roll. And the movie High School Confidential was a story with drugs, alcohol, and gangsters, and rock and roll. Some of the actors that started making a name for themselves are Alan Freed, Billy Haley, and the Planners. One of the very first old school comedies is Fred Ott's Sneezes, 1894 film. It's a black and white film, one of the very first motion pictures to be copyrighted in the United States. It's a 5-second long film, that's all. He takes a pinch of snuff and sneezes. Here's the video. Some more old school comedies are Young America, an 1897 film. It's a short, silent film. It's about a kid who ties a bunch of firecrackers to another kid's coattail and sets them off. And The Nearsighted School Teacher. It was made in July 1898. It's an early short comedy film starring Augusta Selmer. The school teacher lets kids run wild. One kid ties a fake spider onto a ruler and shakes it in front of the teacher's face. The history of techniques. 1900s, the world of film is slowly changing. They began using more backdrops and editing skills improved, and the more angles came in content. When using film noirs to create a dark shadowy settings, they used the element low-key lighting to bring out in dark intense feeling to the audience. During the World War II, the new film footage inspired filmmakers to use lighting directors. Photo flood came into the picture. It was used to light large areas at once. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. That is it for this month. I hope you guys have a great rest of your course.